Hey everyone, today we're looking at Addvalue Technologies, a Singapore company listed on SGX under ticker A31. It does two things. It makes a device that keeps satellites connected 24/7, and it makes a radio module used inside anti-drone systems. On top of that, there's a proposed spin-off onto Nasdaq or NYSE that could be a significant catalyst. FY 2026 numbers. Revenue 24.8 million US dollars, up 60%. Net profit 4.8 million US dollars. Zero debt. 7.3 million US dollars cash. Order book of 23.4 million US dollars heading into next year. Quick reminder, this is educational content, not financial advice. Always do your own research. Let's get into it. This chart shows the turnaround. A few years ago, Addvalue was on the SGX watchlist, revenue was small, the company had been losing money, and the share price was fractions of a cent. Now, revenue climbing every year. The company turned profitable in FY 2024. For the recent financial year ended, it became debt-free and cash is building. The turnaround is in the numbers, not just in the story. Here's the problem IDRS solves. A satellite in low Earth orbit can only talk to a ground station for about 10 minutes every 90 minutes. The other 80 minutes? It's completely unreachable. IDRS puts a small terminal on the satellite that connects it through a geostationary satellite permanently overhead. Suddenly, it's reachable 24/7 from anywhere on Earth. The pager becomes a mobile phone. That matters because the applications people are building today, disaster response imaging, defense surveillance, space station communications, can't afford to wait for a long period of no response. Four things make this business hard to compete with. First, physical lock-in. The terminal is integrated into the satellite before launch. Once it's in orbit, you can't swap it out. The operator is locked in for the life of the satellite, typically 5 to 7 years. That's one of the hardest switching costs in any industry. One caveat though, before launch, operators can freely choose alternatives, so winning the design decision early matters. Second, flight heritage. First deployed in 2015. 32 satellites are flying today. Over 20 named customers, including Capella Space and Astroscale. That track record is not easy to replicate. Third, a 20-year Inmarsat partnership. IDRS runs on Inmarsat's global network. The chairman spent 24 years at Inmarsat. That relationship runs deep. The caveat, Addvalue doesn't own the network. It's now owned by Viasat. Fourth, airtime revenue compounding. Every terminal in orbit pays a monthly fee. That recurring revenue hit 2 million US dollars last year, up 122%. With the CEO's target of 100 terminals, that's about 6.3 million US dollars annually, growing automatically with every new satellite launched. Let's be honest about the competition. The laser-based solutions from SpaceX and Mynaric are much faster, but they're also much more expensive and designed for large constellation operators, not small satellites. They're solving a different problem at a different price point. SpaceLink is building an optical relay system, but it's still in development. The real competition is ground station networks. Companies like AWS, Ground Station, and KSAT. Most satellites use these today because they're the default affordable option. Addvalue has 32 terminals. It does have the potential to grow. The second business is the ADRS 1000, a software reconfigurable radio module embedded inside anti-drone systems. Think of it like Intel Inside. Intel makes the chip. Computer makers build the laptop. A DRS 1000 is the chip. Defense integrators build the anti-drone system. What makes it useful? It monitors 16 frequency channels simultaneously, so frequency hopping drones can't hide. And it's software updatable, so when threats evolve, you update firmware instead of replacing hardware. Why is anti-drone demand structural? Ukraine and Iran proved cheap drones can defeat expensive military systems. Every defense ministry took note. Governments are now mandating counter-drone solutions, not as an optional budget item, but as essential defense spending. Airports and power plants have also joined the market. One key risk to flag: for the most recent financial year, ADR revenue of 9.7 million US dollars was largely driven by one undisclosed large customer. That contract is largely done. The ADR order book is only 1.8 million US dollars right now. This segment needs new orders to fill the gap. Maybank expects ADRS orders to surge in second half of 2026 with multi-year program commitments. That would meaningfully change the picture, but as of now, that has not happened yet. It is an expectation, not a confirmed order. Both businesses are riding structural tailwinds, not sentiment. On the space side, launch costs have collapsed. SpaceX made it 10 to 20 times cheaper to get to orbit than it was in 2010. Amazon Leo is producing 30 satellites per week. More satellites mean more potential IDRS customers. And the applications, Earth observation, in-orbit servicing, defense, all demand real-time connectivity, which is exactly what IDRS provides. On the drone side, wars proved the threat is real. Governments are now mandating counter-drone solutions. Civilian demand from airports, stadiums, and power plants has doubled the addressable market. And software-defined detection, which is what ADRS 1000 does, has become the preferred technical approach because fixed-frequency detectors simply fail against modern drones. Addvalue sits at the intersection of both. Neither of these forces is going away. Now the catalyst. Addvalue is proposing to spin off the IDRS business onto the Nasdaq or NYSE as a separate listed company called Addvalue Solutions. Addvalue will retain at least 51%. Why the US? Close to half of IDRS customers are already US based. The space sector is primarily valued by US investors. And separating IDRS as a pure play removes the conglomerate discount that a blended company on SGX suffers. Where things stand, SGX pre-clearance is done. Advisors, underwriters, and US auditors are all engaged. The shareholder vote is still pending. SEC registration hasn't been filed yet. Target listing is around 2027, and I want to read the company's own words directly. No assurance as to whether and when the proposed spin-off listing will be implemented or completed. The process is moving, but it's not done, and it's not guaranteed. Something interesting happened in July 2026. For the first time in 16 years, management used the share buyback mandate. 3 consecutive days, 15, 16, and 17 July. They bought 4.58 million shares for 640,000 Singapore dollars total. What makes the timing notable? The buyback started 24 hours after the company's cautious spin-off announcement. 3 takeaways. A buyback is a real cost signal. You can't fake it. The timing suggests management disagreed with the market's reaction. But, and this is important, 0.12% of total shares is a small absolute amount. The ADR revenue gap and spin-off risk are unchanged. This is a signal to weigh alongside the risk, not a reason to ignore them. Let me give you both sides. On the positive side, Addvalue is profitable while most space companies are not. The physical lock-in is real and durable. Recurring airtime fees are growing fast. The order book is at a record. Both satellite growth and anti-drone demand are structural. The Nasdaq spin-off, if it works, is a significant value unlock. And management just bought shares for the first time in 16 years. On the cautious side, the ADR revenue gap is the most immediate risk. The spin-off has explicit uncertainty. The company said so itself. Only one analyst covers this stock. 32 terminals of 9,000 plus is 0.3% penetration. Addvalue doesn't own the Inmarsat network they depend on. The share is up 794% in 12 months. Much of the story may already be priced in. And it's a microcap with limited liquidity. The fundamentals are real. So are the risks. The spin-off is the catalyst. If it executes, you decide if the current price already reflects that. Quick look at the numbers. FY 2026, revenue 24.8 million US dollars, up 60%, profit 4.8 million US dollars, up 147%, gross margin 52.1%, zero debt. Operating cash flow 8.5 million US dollars, cash 7.3 million US dollars. The chart shows the 5-year journey, from losses to profit, from debt to net cash. On the right are Maybank's estimates, the only analyst covering Addvalue. FY 2027, revenue 32.7 million US dollars, profit 8.3 million US dollars. FY 2028, 44.5 million US dollars revenue, 12.9 million US dollars profit. These are one analyst's projections, not guarantees. Interestingly, Maybank's earlier FY 2026 estimate was 20.2 million US dollars. The actual was 24.8 million US dollars, 23% ahead. So they've been conservative historically, but past conservatism doesn't guarantee future accuracy. So that's Addvalue Technologies. I've laid out the facts as clearly as I can. What you do with them is up to you. If this was useful, like and subscribe, and drop a comment if you have questions. I read all of them. This is not financial advice. Do your own research,